What's up? We got The Flash Season 4, Episode 1, The Flash Reborn. So this episode starts off with Iris monologuing about how her husband, about her soon-to-be husband Barry Allen disappeared, and she's been doing it ever since she's been running. So then we see like a zoom-in shot, but then it's actually Wally running, and Cisco, and they're chasing after Shauna, aka Peekaboo. Yeah, it's weird that they're bringing Shauna back. They're bringing Shauna back, and he's like, yeah. So he's like, duck. So Star Labs is it looks like Star Labs has gotten like a new design, and Iris is like, duck, and he's like, duck, and Wally's like, where? And they get knocked down because Wally's dumb, because he thought that she was talking about actual duck, not the word duck. Come on, Wally. You're the smartest guy on this show. So he's like, you thought she meant an actual duck, not the word duck. So then we see the new logo for this show, better than the one where it just says The Flash with a black logo. This one now has like a red logo behind it, and it's one of my favorite logos. Don't usually mention the logos on this review series, but I just gotta mention the logo for for The Flash Season 4, the brand new one. It's pretty good. So anyway, so they're mentioning about how their team Kid Flash, but Cisco likes the name Team Vibe because now that Barry's gone, they can't just use the name Team Flash. So at the West House, Cisco's like, so at the West House, they're mentioning about Joe and Cecile are talking about how Cecile's moving in, good for Joe and Cecile, and about how Cecile is here. And then Joe mentions about ever since Julian moved to London, we no longer have our boy Draco Malfoy / Tom Felton now. He's moved back to London because Tom Felton's actual contract was only for one season, so they have to write him out by saying he randomly decided to go back to London during the 6 months random. So they're looking, and he can't tell, and he can't keep telling Captain Sing that Barry's going to the Czech Republic. So they're going to have to find someone to replace him. And with Barry, and they're like, since we had HR's funeral, they're gonna have Barry's funeral. And Iris is like, yo, what are we gonna do? Take the suit in the suit in the cortex and just put the suit in the cortex and just put it in a grave. And he's like, Barry is gone. I gotta say, Iris is kind of annoying this episode. It's just that whenever she just yells at anyone who tells her Barry's alive, like Cisco tells her Barry's alive, and what does she do? She yells at him because she comes off as a very annoying person. Like, just because Barry told her to stay strong, you're gonna yell at someone for saying the fact that Barry might be alive? So Cisco tells him that Barry might be alive, and he's got the help of Harry, Felicity, Tracy, who's not in the show anymore because of HR death. She didn't have anything to do in this season. They had the help of Tracy, Harry, Tina, and Curtis to help figure out how to make Barry alive. And she's like, when were you gonna tell us this? And he's like, I had to figure out that Barry wasn't alive. Yeah, I'm just saying, Iris is coming off as kind of an annoying person, and I'm not a fan of it. I just don't like it. Why'd they have to write Iris this way? I get it. Some people say that Season 4 ruined Iris as a character, and for this episode, I kind of agree. She kind of comes off as an annoying person. So the help with Barry Cisco decides to get Caitlin back, who's kind of just Caitlin now because he's like, hey, last time I saw you, you said you weren't Killer Frost, but you weren't Caitlin either. And she's like, Cisco, it's just Caitlin. And he's like, why didn't you come back to us? And she's like, you're still trying to get Barry out of Speed Force? And she's like, yeah, And then this creepy guy just comes in saying, "Is everything over here?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Go protect someone else." And Caitlin kind of gives the vibe of, like she knows who this guy is, but we don't. So yeah, so she decides to come back and help Barry. And Iris is kind of like, "Cisco, I need your help," but Cisco's not there. And she discovers he's at the Star Labs van, so she's like, "I'm Iris, and I think I'm the best, so I have to get mad at everyone." Like, so yeah, so Cisco randomly sees it's Barry and is like, yeah. There's also the Samurai character, who's like, this is Samurai android character who's basically wants to fly, or he's going to attack the city. And Wally knows Japanese out of nowhere. Okay, Wally somehow figured it. Wally speaks. Does Wally speak every language in the show? Because somehow Wally knows Japanese. So yeah, so he's like, Asasuke. So yeah, so he's. And wait, is that? Yeah, I think that's Japanese. I know that China White said that. So anyway, so yeah, so he's like, "Give me the flash, or your city falls." So they're like, they're gonna give me a flash. You want a flash? You give me a flash. So they basically just put Wally in the White Emblem OG season 1 suit, but with the white emblem. But Wally's like, he's like, "You're not the Flash. You have yellow lightning." And so yeah, so he's like, Cisco starts saying, it's him," and it's just they blast it, and then Cisco's like, "Oh, it must not be him." And Iris is like, what the crap, Cisco. So yeah, so then Barry shows. So then we see Barry show up. We see some people get we see a portal open and a bus come by, which means those are probably our many humans of the week. And then we see Barry come by, and he's a naked, bearded Barry Allen. So then Iris is like, "Hey, Cisco, I told you that we didn't need him back." And he's like, "What the crap is wrong with you, guys? You don't even want him. Yeah, it's like you don't even want him back." And he's like, "Hey, we thought we were doing." And he's like, "Where have you been the last 6 months, Caitlin? See, Iris, you're annoying me, so please stop. You almost survived death last season, and you're annoying me already." So anyway, I survived death last season, and she's already annoying me. So anyway, and I don't like being annoyed by characters. So anyway, then Cecile says, "Hey, she saw Barry, but you might want..." And he starts saying, "Sunline, stars melting," and he's like, "Nor should be here." And he's like, "Nor should be here." And she's like, "Your mom's not here, Barry." He's like, "He told me to say was safe, but he was the only one affected that night," which was a reference season 1. Which is a reference season 1. And he's like, "Sign, blind time," because Barry's weird. His mind's like broken or something. And like, stars melting, stars drain. He's like, "Driving, minding, timing," and they're like, he's like, "You told me," which is, he's like, I don't think I'm like you, Oliver," which is reference season 3 there. Oh yeah. So then Caitlin's like, injects him, and they're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "There's something that Barry might have something that..." Caitlin explains it, but I'm not gonna explain it to Barry. He's like, that makes him like have a condition that makes Barry think what he's saying is real, but it's gibberish to them. So yeah. So he's just started writing on the wall, and he's like, "Hey Barry, I have a new suit for you. You want to take it out for a test fit?" And he's like, "Timing, blaming, no thanks. This is a weird Barry Allen." So Iris is like, "Hey, the Flash is going to save her." And he's like, "How do you know that?" "Because I know." So the Samurai takes her, and Joe's like, "Hey, Iris." Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing when Barry randomly speeds around, and then he's like, "Barry, stop!" So Barry attacks Joe, but then he gets attacked by a cold gun. He gets attacked by ice, and then we think it's Killer Frost, but it's really just Caitlin with the cold gun, which I like. So yeah, which I like that like turn on when you make it think it's Caitlin, make you think it's Killer Frost, but it's really just Caitlin. So yeah, so Iris gets taken, and he's like, Iris, Barry's gonna die, which makes him reactivate him. So, and he randomly just speeds towards Cisco's new suit. Like, how did he know that was a thing? No one, like, he just randomly takes it for himself. It's just like, excuse me, Barry. Like, I'm so confused on how Barry knows that Cisco's suit was made. I'm guessing Cisco told him, but it wasn't to him, it was to the other version. Barry just randomly knows that Cisco has a suit. So he's like, the Flash is back! And we see Barry with that cool new suit. And he's like, wow, Barry's going faster than Wally ever could. So yeah, so Barry saved Iris, and she's like, you came home to me. And he's like, I'm never leaving. So yeah. So then we see that, hey, and they're like, Barry, does the word "this house is bitchin" mean anything to you? And he's like, nope. So he's like, nope. So shouldn't? He's like, nah, because they're reading Barry's like monologue, like what Barry was saying, and it read to the word "this house is a bitch." This house is a bitchin', and it's like, what does that mean? And I'm guessing this is gonna be the show's running gag for the rest of the season, where someone comes in and they're like, "This house is bitchin'," and someone's gonna be saying no, because that's what the show does. At least it's better than the Flashpoint episode. I gotta say, this season's starting off pretty good. This episode's way better than last season's premiere. Last season's premiere had nothing to do with it, but this season premiere. And then we see Barry. Then Caitlin goes to the bar she was working at, and it was like, tell Amy I'm done. It's like, who's Amy Net? Who is she? And is she gonna be the most annoying character we'll probably see? Yeah, she probably is. Wait till that comes, guys. So yeah, wait till that comes. So yeah, so he's like, you know, and then Killer Frost activates. He hurts her arm, and then Killer Frost activates. She turns into Killer Frost, saying, don't make me frosty. You won't like me when I'm frosty. Basically a Hulk reference, and she's like, tell Anne, brain free, touch me again, I'll freeze yours off. Maybe other parts too. Tell Amy I'm done. So she's like, time to have some fun, but then Caitlin regains control of Killer Frost, of her own body. So Barry and Iris have a talk, but then we see our villains of the season, the Thinker and his wife, and she's like, the Flash is back in sin, and he's like, this is a samurai, and so it's revealed that this guy made the samurai, and he's like, the Flash is back in Central City. What is our next move? And he's like, I'm thinking. To end the episode. Sorry, I'm getting confused. To end the episode. So, this was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it. It was better than last season. It was better than last season premiere Flashpoint. It was a way better premiere. Iris came off as an annoying person throughout the entire episode. I just wanted to destroy her, because Iris is always meant to be the good character, but in this episode she kind of came off as a little whiny, like yelling at everyone, like telling Caitlin, where have you been the last 6 months, yelling at Cisco about thinking that Barry's still dead. It's just, why do that to Iris of all characters? Harry, I guess, he was always the angry guy. I love Harry. But Iris? Why Iris? It doesn't make any sense why it's Iris. So anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for some more Flash Season 4.